One of your objectives this week is to create a scattergram or a scatterplot of raw data. As an example, this problem from your MyLabs Plus homework for week 1 is going to be demonstrated on the TI calculator. I first notice that I have the year given, and in the body of the problem it tells me T represents years since 2000, so T equals 0 will represent the year 2000, and T equals 6 will represent the year 2006. I also notice that that is on my horizontal axis, so that would be the first column. The second column is winnings per million, and I see that I have tournament earnings here for in millions, and that will be my Y variable or my vertical axis variable. So to enter this data, I'm going to come over to the graphing calculator and I'm going to hit Stat. And the first thing I want to do is go down to number 4, and I want to clear my list in case I have any data in my calculator. You also have to tell it what to clear. So let's say I have maybe 2 or 3 columns. I'm going to hit second and the number 1 so that L1 comes up here. That's the first column or first list. Then I hit a comma, that's above the 7. I'm going to hit second L2, comma, second L3. If I don't have any data in these, this doesn't hurt at all. And then I hit enter. And then I go back to stat, and I want to edit, so I'm already on number 1 and I hit enter. And I notice I have lists that don't have any data in them. And I'm ready to type in this data. Since I have the year and I want that to be my first variable, I notice that I'm going to type in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then I'm going to use my right arrow key to move to the second list, and that's where I'm going to enter my tournament winnings. So I have 10.1, 11.5, 5.6, 10.3, 1.5, and 0.9. Even though this problem is using E for the y-axis earnings and T for the years, your graphing calculator will use X and Y, so X for the horizontal axis and Y for the vertical axis. So when I want to graph a scatter plot of this. I will go to second and then the Y equals button, and that will do stat plot or open a stat plot. I notice all my plots are off, which they should be. Sometimes it will mess you up if you leave a stat plot on later on in the course. I hit enter and on is flashing, and if I hit enter again, then on is now selected. The very first choice is the scatter plot. I want to leave it there. The 2 lists that I want to draw are list 1 for the X variable and list 2 for the Y variable, and I can choose how I want the scatterplot data to show up. Let's say I want these small dots. I could pick that choice if I use my down arrow key and then my right arrow key and enter. Then I hit graph, and I notice I only see 2 data values. So notice how I have the x-axis and the y-axis, whereas in these graphs, in my choice, I'm starting from 0 to 12, from 0 to 12. I also notice my x data values go from 6 to 11, and my y data values go from 0.9 to 11.5. So I want to go to my window and set my window so that I'm catching all those. So my minimum x value, let's say we'll use 5, since 6 is my minimum. I guess I could use 0 since they use 0 in the problem. Oh, now I typed 50. Let me go back, 0. I'm going to use my down arrow key and make my maximum 12 so it matches the graphs that I'm given. My y minimum I will make 0, and my y maximum I will make 12. Now let's hit graph again and see what happens. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points. And I have to decide which graph it looks the most like. I think it's this one, but I'm going to make this larger. I clicked on that magnification glass and I'm able to then make it larger. And this looks very much, so I have a very highest data value here, and that matches this one on my scatter plot on my TI. I have a low value down here. I also notice that it's labeled years since 2000, and so I know how to interpret that. I'm going to select Graph C, and I have graphed a scatter plot using the TI calculator.